Hi, my name is Bob Taylor. I'm a professor at the University of Texas at Dallas in the Criminology and Criminal Justice program. And I'd like to talk to you for a few moments about why you would want to come to the University of Texas at Dallas, and most importantly, why you would want to study criminology and criminal justice. First of all, maybe a little introduction on what is criminology. If you look at it in most academic settings, it's a theoretical endeavor to understand why people commit crime. It is interdisciplinary and brings together the fields of behavioral and social sciences. So we have inside criminology researchers that are sociologists, psychologists, philosophers, psychiatrists, biologists, and of course anthropologists, as well as scholars of the law. For the most part, criminology is theoretical, and it tries to answer that basic question. Why do people commit crime? Why do people violate the law? When we look at criminology, it is truly an academic research endeavor. It started years ago, but in the United States became very profound in the 1950s because of the School of Criminology out of the University of Chicago. That arose primarily out of the sociology discipline. But today's world of criminology, we incorporate many others. Criminology, or criminal justice, on the other hand, is much more practical and much more pragmatic. It focuses on the structure of laws and rules and agencies within the United States that carry out this process we call justice. The primary goal of the criminal justice system is to protect the individual rights and freedoms that we so enjoy in this country that are guaranteed by our Constitution. So when we look at the two fields of criminology and criminal justice, we're really looking at fields where we have kind of an opposing set of perspectives, one theoretical, the other pragmatic. When we blend these together, we see that these theories are applied to the four major components of criminal justice: police, prosecution, courts, and corrections. So let's look at these components a little closer. Let's look at police. And I have to be honest, that's my background. I focus primarily on the police research end at the university. My fields are in police administration and police use of force, and then in terrorism and police responses to terrorism. So I know this field fairly well. I'm a former law enforcement officer. But police primarily focus on the enforcement of law and the apprehension of criminals. Within that, there are all sorts of other functions that police perform: investigation, patrol, kind of new strategy thinking about how we go about doing policing. You might have heard the term community policing now in the news, the idea of melding community values with the police function. Prosecution, that's pretty easy one to look at. It basically is composed of attorneys who are prosecutors and attorneys who are defense attorneys trying to safeguard the prosecution process itself, again, within the framework of the Constitution of the United States. Courts is the adjudication and the application of our criminal law. It's trying to hold people accountable for the crimes they've committed, for their actions, and the like. But there's a secondary goal there as well, and that goal is to protect victims and to protect witnesses related to crime. And then finally, corrections. And corrections is an interesting area because it has really two opposing kinds of goals. The first one is to punish the offender, and the second one is to rehabilitate the offender. And those are kind of competing in today's society. And they're played out, I think, in kind of everyday life. Do we want to punish people, or do we want to rehabilitate them and bring them back into our society? Certainly, if we were to look at the offenders of the criminal justice system in America, we would find that most of those criminals and offenders have the same kinds of commonalities, social commonalities particularly. They're from lower socioeconomic status. They are primarily lowly educated. They don't have a lot of formal education. Many are illiterate. They have low skills. And most importantly, they come from broken families, families where no one cared for them. Now, I guess I spend a little bit more time on this aspect of corrections because if you're interested in making a difference and you're interested in helping people, certainly in the area of corrections, there's ample opportunity. We've got to change that paradigm of who comes into these correctional facilities, who is caught by our law enforcement agents. I mean, there's certainly crime across the spectrum of our socioeconomic status. But how come only the ones that we find that do the garden variety crimes or the street crimes get arrested and go to jail? What about the white collar criminals? What about the sophisticated fraud rings and the alike? I started out in the correctional field. I was a juvenile counselor at a facility in Oregon. And I enjoyed it immensely because every day I was dealing with individuals who really had no one that cared for them. And it was a very empathetic experience from my perspective. And as I grew in my education, I had some other opportunities arise, and I went into the policing arena, still staying in the criminal justice system. The criminal justice system has jobs. And again, in our literature, we argue back and forth. Is that a good thing or is it a bad thing that we have so many people that are needed to fulfill the criminal justice system function? You know, the bottom line here, 3 million positions in criminal justice, and average is about 7% increase per year. That's 200,000 jobs a year that need to be filled in our criminal justice system. And in all areas, in all of our components. So when you look at police, you've got federal police agencies, state, local. I mean, you're talking about the FBI at the federal level, U.S. Marshals, the Drug Enforcement Administration, Secret Service, and the alike. In the state, you're looking at Texas Department of Public Safety or any of the other state police agencies. And of course, at local agencies, they're your local sheriffs and your local police departments. And unique to the Dallas-Fort Worth area is a very large private and corporate security arena, which hires a number of our students. If you're from the Fort Worth area, you're very familiar with, I'm sure, the Bass Security Corporation that basically provides security for all of downtown Fort Worth. But there are other Fortune 500 companies in the DFW area that hire every year. Target, AT&T, Exxon. All of these major corporations have security for their buildings and for their corporate goal and mission as well. So if you're working in a corporate setting that's international, you may have an assignment that's also international. All the anti-terrorism policing that's gone on since 9/11 is also available for you with a criminal justice degree. Cyber criminals. We have a new program at the master's level on cybercrime at the University of Texas at Dallas that blends social science as well as computer science. And then since 9/11 and terrorism is kind of my field, a lot of people talk about the intelligence arena and being an intelligence officer for the CIA. But there are other areas of intelligence as well. Almost all police departments have an intelligence officer. There are a number of applications with computers that involve themselves in intelligence, like geographic information systems or GIS. Prosecution. There's a tremendous need for more prosecutors, more defense attorneys, investigators that work for both of those individuals outside the police realm. Prosecution's a big field in the area of criminal justice. It does require a law degree in many times, or in many cases. So if you're looking at going into law school, criminal justice is a viable and very large major for you to think about seriously. In the courts arena, there's judges and clerks, court reporters and bailiffs, Again, many of these people are involved with other agencies or hired by other agencies that contract to the court system. And then corrections. Wow, probation and parole officers, drug counselors, correctional officers, youth counselors. A tremendous number of openings each and every year in our criminal justice system. So again, why are we studying criminal justice and criminology at the University of Texas at Dallas? Because we have the greatest social problems facing us today that we've probably ever had, not only in criminal justice, but in our entire history. And I believe that the reason that we have these problems is because we forgot why most of us joined the criminal justice system in the first place. And that was to actually help someone. One of the real joys I have as a professor is that I get to teach at police academies and different locations around the state. And I always like to ask new recruits to policing or even in the corrections world, why did you join the criminal justice system? Why did you become a police officer? Why did you become a counselor? And they always say the same thing, because I want to help someone. Because I want to make a difference in people's lives. And doing that on a one-to-one basis is a phenomenal experience. It is a tremendously safe, or a tremendously self-satisfying experience as well. Most important is we forgot in the criminal justice arena that our primary role is to, again, safeguard the constitutional rights of all people. So we've forgotten these things. And what we have to do is get back to the basics in criminal justice. I think above all else, for you to understand if you become a criminology, criminal justice major, is that criminal justice is a human-to-human enterprise. In other words, you see people daily who are at their best and who are at their worst. And oftentimes, you find people at the beginning of their lives and at the end of their lives. And I think for a moment about my own experiences as a police officer. In the same day, I had a call to help a lady who was giving birth to get to a hospital. She didn't make it, and I delivered that baby in the back seat of my patrol car. It was a wonderful experience. As a side note, she even named the child Bob after me, poor child, but quite interesting. The same day, later, I went to a traffic accident and held the hand of a young man who passed from this earth. A needless, senseless event. And it, again, highlighted the prospect or perspective of criminal justice and of policing, that you interrelate with people on a day-to-day basis in a very human experience. I can't think of any other profession that has a greater challenge. Maybe only the medical field. If we believe and if we think about change in our society, it doesn't come quick. Transformative social change occurs through incremental, consistent, and purposeful steps over time. In other words, there isn't going to be a giant shift. We're going to see little kinds of changes over time. Well, to get that done, we need great workers in the criminal justice system. We need great leaders in the criminal justice system. And fortunate for you, here at the University of Texas at Dallas, we have great researchers. But much more important to you is that we have great teachers. And those teachers are going to make you think. They're going to make you work. And the reason why is because we at the University of Texas at Dallas profoundly understand that you are our hope for the future. If we can get you to think differently than what we've done in the past, then you're going to solve the problems of today and give us all hope for a much better world tomorrow. So you could also say, hey, that's a pretty selfish perspective. It is. I can't think of any greater challenge that we have in our society. But the future rests with you. We need you. We need you to think differently, to explore new areas of how we can come together as a society, we need you to get excited about your future. At the University of Texas at Dallas, we try to build people who are going to make a difference. We want people to be positive about their future. We want individuals to think about what we can be, not where we've been in the past, but to look at those ideals again upon which our great country was developed. I would like to just thank you for listening to this little talk with about coming into UT Dallas. I'd love to see you in my classes. We try to explore those things that takes courage and that reinforces the kinds of values that we enjoy in the great state of Texas and in this country. Be positive about your future, and I hope to see you very soon. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.